All right, well, this is Julie from Stereophile, and we are here with Florian from Clarisys. And
Yes.
we were just talking about how your initial impetus and inspiration was from your passion for Apogee speakers, the vintage ones, and you have perhaps the largest private collection, you would say,
Yes.
and including some very rare models you were describing.
Excellent.
So let's talk about how that passion translated eventually into to Clarisys. So maybe a bit of background, and then we'll get into some details because there's a lot happening.
Yeah, sure. Actually, when I was a teenager, I was in New York at a time, and I was allowed to listen to somebody's stereo system who had a pair of Apogee caliper models, smaller ones. And he was listening to the New York Symphony Orchestra, which was transmitted live at the time over radio.
Oh, yeah.
And I was completely struck just by the openness, the speed, the realism of the system. And it just hit me. And when I got back home, I actually saved a lot of money and bought used pairs, and broken pairs, by the way, which took me then many years to fix. And the primary motivation also from a professional perspective with my job, this is my second job, I have a primary job, was to make enough money to be able to build the Apogee system I always wanted.
Oh, okay.
So it actually, it's not only a passion from a music perspective, it's actually been the driver of my actual career and life.
Oh, wonderful. To have that dovetail. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's always been about Apogees. I've never owned any other personal speakers apart from Apogees and now Clarisys. And once these systems they break down, we try to find repair service, which we couldn't get, and so that's how it all started.
Took that upon yourself because you said, okay, you can either be sad or make something happen.
Make something happen.
Fantastic.
And I found people with the common passion and the common shares. We found them actually in Singapore and in Vietnam, in Hanoi, because there's a very large Apogee following also in Asia.
Oh.
And we got together and we started making replacement parts, and we made our first speakers, and the company just involved.
Yeah. And how long has Clarisys been around then? More or less?
Approximately 11 years.
Oh, okay, so that's,
but we only started entering the commercial market about 4 years ago. So 7 years we invested a lot of money, lost a lot of money. You know, you build prototypes, they work, they don't work, they break, you make new ones. And it's also very important for us that the product is at a really scalable state. It's not selling just a unique one-of-a-kind system you build in your garage. It's something that has to be meet industrial standards for quality, for reproducibility, for scalability. And so that's why we took our time.
Right, and the consistency and to get the right factory partners and all that, the quality control every step of the way for something as intricate and special as these are. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about what we have here, this
this is our
speaker array. So we've got, 3 panels per channel, or
yes.
4, I guess, but the arrays. And these are ribbons or electric. So go ahead and talk us through that.
Yes, so it's a full-range ribbon speaker. This is a 4-way model. The driver is actually 0.06 millimeter in thickness. And they are only suspended on the top and on the bottom. They are completely loose. We don't use any carrier material such as Kapton or Mylar. And if you actually just blow on them,
oh, I can see the movement.
You can see
that's
move.
Incredible.
The drivers are essentially massless. And the magnet system we use at Clarisys are neodymium N52 class magnets, which are extremely powerful rare earth magnets. We even specialize those. Those are custom built for us with specific shapes to increase the magnetic field focus of the drivers. So everything on this speaker is truly bespoke. We make our own drivers, we make our own magnet systems. All of the pieces are handmade in-house. The speaker itself is a 4-way, as you just said. We have a tweeter element, we have a mid-range element, a mid-bass element, although people always correct me because this panel itself plays down to 15.6 hertz.
Okay, so it really extends down into the bass region,
Absolutely.
of course, most definitely, yeah.
Yes, and this is This is a unique product to the Atrium system.
Oh.
This is an infrasonic device.
Oh, okay.
So it starts at 11.5 hertz, and we cross it at about 45. So the way you set this up is you put it to the side wall. So the wave launch of all of the panels together are uniform, which means if a bass note hits you, the entire width and height of the room hit you. You don't just have a subwoofer sitting somewhere creating pressure, but you have the entire surface area of the room hitting you at one pressure.
Oh, okay.
You know, if you go to a church, you have a pipe
phase,
organ.
The whole everything at
Exactly.
once should reach you at the same time, all the frequencies.
And it just moves you like in a church organ.
Wow. Okay.
Right. That's what it's after.
Okay.
Yeah. The entire
remarkable.
the entire construction is out of aluminium, and the system weight as it sits here is actually 3,650 pounds.
Wow. Including the platforms, the bases that they rest on. And what about is there any kind of suspension, or is it solid, or how are the base?
No, it's absolutely solid, and the weight of each of these modules is so high.
Okay.
It's planted. It just sits there.
And having the trading in this speaker paradigm or design approach also, that you're trading surface area for mass. You said these are essentially massless.
Correct.
The drivers, the ribbons. So.
Correct.
And tell me about the shape of this, the form factor. It reminds me of a harp a little bit. Or something.
Well, thank you for the question. That's actually a very important aspect. A typical panel speaker from other manufacturers who make panel speakers, they're always rectangular. Well, a rectangular panel is attached to on all four sides. So when it moves, it cannot move uniformly, right? Because it's attached, so it's always making a little bulge, which creates resonance problems. Now, the way to overcome this is if you choose a shape which has at least amount of parallel lines as possible. So this shape is specifically designed to lower the amount of resonances in a panel speaker. You can see the top is actually wider than the bottom, and you have the arc. So there are no parallel surfaces anywhere on this panel. And that's why it actually only has one resonance frequency and plays completely clean. So this shape is very important in the reproduction of the sound. And we are the only ones who actually use custom shapes based on the frequency that the panel speaker is supposed to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that dictates the form, what you're trying to achieve. And and the scale for a model. And what prompted you to make these? I mean, we talked about a little bit earlier about the factory in Vietnam. This was the maximum height that basically they could deal with in manufacturing. But but can you say a little about the scalability, or what led to this, such heights and weight and everything?
Yes, sure. Well, the original design was actually 11 feet.
Oh, okay.
This is only 8.8 feet.
Okay, only 8.8. That's still pretty.
We're trying to basically pressurize the entire room height.
Oh, okay.
So the idea was, well, if you have a room like this, in Europe, you can get industrial rooms with about 3 meter ceiling or 3.2 meters, and the concept was to actually go the entire height of the room. But as we designed it, we found out that we couldn't stand it up because the ceiling is only 9 feet tall.
Oh, right.
And so we chose to end it at 8.8 feet. But ideally, you have a line array that goes across the entire vertical space of the room to pressurize it evenly. Now, of course, in most available rooms, 8.8 feet is most likely pretty close to that. But the mass of the system is a very important aspect. A panel speaker ideally is completely rigid and the frame does not move. Because as soon as the panel moves and the speaker moves as well, you lose kinetic energy and forward motion, which maybe it's a pro tip for panel lovers out there. If your current panel speaker and you push it and it starts to wobble, that's actually not a good design, and you should do something to make it completely rigid.
Okay.
But that's why we have this high mass.
Yeah. Okay. And one other question too. What about these? What's going across here? These I've never seen that. It looks like a loom or something almost, but it is very much like a harp or guitar strings.
Yes, it's a string.
It's a similar effect, and I can touch them. Okay.
Yeah,
Because you're obviously.
Yes.
And are they just cotton or particular material? And tell me about those.
Yeah, they're actually a type of cotton string that we use purely for aesthetic reasons. Of course, it does serve some kind of protection, so you don't touch the panel itself. But this is primarily an aesthetic choice. If you see one of our earlier designs, we have these metal bars that run across the entire front of the speaker. And some of the feedback was that it looks a little bit odd to some people. So we came up with a new visual design to kind of break that up. And so far it has been very well received.
Yeah, one last question too. Oh dear. One last question. And here what we're seeing embedded in the diaphragm those are the magnet structures, or what are the forms that I'm seeing?
We can go to the back
there.
And I can
Look
show
around the
you.
back? Okay, great.
I hope our camera team can follow.
Okay, sure.
So to give you some insight into the production, so this is a dust cover. You can just take this off. It's held on by magnet. It is a single piece of aluminum.
Okay.
And I jokingly say that even the magnets on our dust covers are stronger than other speakers' magnets, which is actually true.
I believe that, yeah. Well, in such a structure, you want them to be secure.
It has to hold. So you can see the aluminum exoskeleton frame here. And then it's a three-piece setup. So you have the exoskeleton structure on the outside. Then you have an inside frame, which holds the actual ribbon diaphragm. And then you have another modular segment, which is the magnet grid. So these are all neodymium N52 magnets. And we have thousands in this system. Now,
all the little tiny inside.
Exactly, they all run like this, creating the magnetic field. And then as you apply current through the membrane, it moves forward and backwards and creates sound. Now, you have several concepts, such as push-pull, where you have magnets in front and magnets in the back. You can do that to save money and use less powerful magnets, but more often. The downside to this is that you have a magnetic array with metal in front of the actual driver.
Ah, okay.
And we don't want that. So we opt to pay more for stronger magnets and don't have anything that blocks the sound in front.
Right, not in front, just keep it on one side. Okay.
Serviceability, by the way, is critical on a system of this caliper. So it's completely modular built. You can even take these screws out, and you can take out the magnet grid. You can take out these screws. You can take out this panel like a picture frame.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the structure is actually still standing. So if something should happen, we would fly in, bring you a new picture frame with the ribbon, you put in
replace
a whole bunch of screws, and you'll be done.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is a very smart design for longevity. So you don't have the, unlike apogees have them, over time becoming degraded and so on. So
correct.
Yeah. Well, excellent. I think that primarily covers things, and this is obviously the same, basically the same front and back, just the open baffle completely.
Yes, it's a complete dipole design.
The dipole, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah.
These are actually the lightest and largest surface area ribbons available in any commercial speaker.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible.
This structure is also completely modular. You can take out this grid as well. And what's important is that we have an automatic ribbon tensioning system. So if the system, for example, should get played extremely loud, or you have an amplifier that is clipping and it moves the ribbon, overdrives it, you can loosen 2 screws and it will automatically self-tension again.
Oh, that's remarkable. Okay.
So when fixing all of these apogees for all of these years, there were a lot of things that annoys the person that does the repair job.
Okay.
So in this design, we really wiped out all of those issues.
Yeah. So basically taking something you loved and improving upon it in a very contemporary way with great design and very high-tech materials and construction. So very cool. Yeah, they're really impressive designs. So thank you.
Thank you very much.